All right, welcome back to the P&B Morning Show right here on Politics and Business Television. I'm still Omike Joseph Matthew. And of course, let's quickly dive into another issue this morning. Now, fresh legal trouble is unfolding for former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai as the federal government files criminal charges against him over alleged unlawful interception of the phone communications of the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. Now, the charges stem from comments El-Rufai reportedly made during an appearance on Arise TV, where prosecutors claim he admitted involvement and knowledge of the alleged act. This development adds to the growing political tensions surrounding El-Rufai in recent months, amid his outspoken criticism of key figures within the ruling establishment and ongoing debate about internal party dynamics ahead of the 2027 election. Now, with charges filed under the Cybercrimes Prohibition Prevention Act, Amendment Act 2024, and the Nigerian Communications Act of 2023, the stakes have shifted from political rhetorics to a courtroom battle. So is this a straightforward enforcement of cyber and national security laws, or does it signal a deeper political confrontation? That's the conversation this morning. And we're hoping to be joined by Professor Kabiru Mato, a political affairs analyst. But before we join him, I have my colleague in the studio, Chidi Kenneth. Chidi Kenneth, earlier on, you told us about the situation surrounding El-Rufai yesterday when he took himself willingly to the EFCC. But of course, while he was there, the federal government went to court and pressed some charges against him following his comments on national television. And it surrounds the issue of cybercrime. So what's your take on all this ordeals around El-Rufai in recent days?
All right, OJ, thank you very much. Under the Cybercrime, Protections and Prevention Act, and the Communication Act, for criminal liability to be established, one has to, participate directly.
Really? Is that what the act says?
Yes.
Participate directly.
Yes.
Even by admitting that like he said, I'm trying to paraphrase now. He said somebody who wiretapped the NSA, brought the recordings to him, that they are there. As the government is also listening to us, we are also listening to them.
Yes, if he says or he claims that someone who, hacked the lines of the NSA, brought such information, well, he needs to provide that person. But the law says, the act says that he, El-Rufai, has to participate directly before that such kind of, allegations or crimes can be, established against him. However, let's look at this. Now, the NSA himself, Nuhu Ribadu has not come out to make any public denials or if the line was hacked or not. And that calls for serious concern because the office of the NSA is a very powerful and sensitive office. I was wondering why and how such a high-profile, individual, his line will be hacked. I want to go find out which company is the service provider among the telecommunication giants we have in Nigeria, because such a personality should be protected. His line should be
a secured line.
A secured line, his line should be maybe the president should be the one to have that kind of opportunity to access such line, or maybe the service chiefs, as it were, or maybe director DSS and NIA and what have you, the powerful and sensitive security agencies in Nigeria. But here we are, a former governor who is now, I'll classify him just a normal citizen, coming to say that somebody who we don't know yet hacked his line. And OJ, if the NSA's office, the line of the NSA is being hacked, then what happens to the ordinary Nigerian? You cannot.
But do you expect El-Rufai, someone as high as El-Rufai politically, to be mentioning or saying such thing on live television knowing the consequences of his revelations? Do you expect such
I don't expect him, considering his profile and the sensitivity of what he was saying. And that statement could also trigger a lot of interest and concern.
just like what it has triggered now?
Yes, that borders on national security. Such media PR, I don't know who are his handlers, but I think they need to do better, because I don't think it's proper to come out on national TV to say that, because it has a way of exposing the security architecture and weakness of a nation. You don't come out and say, even though let's assume it happened allegedly, but not on national TV, OJ, not on national TV, because it calls for question. It shows maybe, how weak, the office of the NSA could be, or how vulnerable it could be for somebody to hack into such high profile security personnel in Nigeria. So I totally I don't think I want to align myself with such. The handlers of El-Rufai should do better.
Okay, now, but don't you think, look, we are talking about El-Rufai. Don't you think El-Rufai knows what he's doing to begin with?
Yes. Like I said, of course, being a minister, being a former governor, he has been in the corridors of power for so long. He knows what he's doing, actually. But for crying out loud, he should also need to apply some media PR. It's not everything that is said on national TV. It can be allowed backstage. We're not on national TV. Like me and you, we're on national TV. So there's some things we cannot say, for the interest of national cohesion and oneness. There's some things you can't say. There's some things you can't even tell your child directly. Even in the Holy Book, Abraham did not tell Sarah, I want to take Isaac to go and slaughter him. Sarah would not agree. Sarah would not agree. He just said, okay, Isaac is going to send me off to the farms. Let's go and do one or two things. But right deep in his mind, he knew what he was going to do. So that's media PR at that level. So that's what I think El-Rufai should have applied as well. Coming on national TV to say the line of, no. Even though the Cyber Crime Prevention and Protection Act, under the Communication Act, says that you must be involved directly, which I think El-Rufai was only making reference to somebody who, did such act, not him. So there's some form of technicalities in, this whole matter. But however, going forward, I want to also urge the NSA to tighten up their security, their communication.
They've not said it happened or not. So
well, we have this about 72 or 80, almost more than 72 hours now, or more than that.
Okay.
Is enough for someone to come out and say no, it happened or not. And silent in itself can also be seen as consent.
Consent or admittance.
So we need the NSA to come out and say, no, it happened or not.
Okay.
If it didn't happen, OJ, why would I be inviting him?
Okay. I think we have our guest on the line now, Professor Kabiru Mato, a political affairs analyst. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning to you. Nice having you this morning on the P&B morning show.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now, okay, all right. Now, straight to the matter. Do the charges against Nasir El-Rufai represent a straightforward enforcement of cybercrime laws, or are there political undertone to all this?
Well, thank you very much. Again, good morning, Nigeria, and then good morning, all our viewers. To begin with, I think it's not important to just take the matter from the surface. It's important to look at the trajectory of events that have happened before now and what's happening now. It would be too hasty and too unfair and too unjust for anybody to just want to arrive at a conclusion when you see two, tendencies trying to prevail or tendencies trying to assert their positions. I think the tragedy that we face as a nation today is that because of the long age decay in terms of governance and administration, Nigerians have lost their focus. Nigerians have lost their sense of humanity. We have lost our sense of justice. And therefore, we treat every matter not on the basis of its value or even its face value, but on the matter of who is involved and what is involved. And I think that's very, very unfortunate. And that's why perhaps if we don't effect any major change at the moment, Nigeria will continue to, dwindle and possibly grant or hold, God forbid, because of the very protracted poor leadership that this country has been infested with over a very long period of time. Now, so to talk about the idea of or the issue of any allegation or any issue, any matter that is between Nasir El-Rufai, the National Security Advisor, or the Tinubu-led federal government, I think it will not be fair. For us to just take it at the level of surface or to simply take it because I'm a member of APC, so I will defend no matter what rubbish the APC-led government, is doing, or because, Nasir El-Rufai, as many people will say, is aggrieved about not being appointed a minister, even when every Nigerian who cared to see what's going on really saw what happened. He didn't want to be a minister. He was invited. He was forced to stay back. He was brought into the government. And then, of course, those of us that were in government along in Kaduna knew the role he played. First of all, the emergence of President Tinubu as a candidate of the party. So if the federal government is now charging him with the issues, that came up or that were thrown up by the interview he granted to Charles Aniogulo of Arise Television, sometimes last week. They may be justified to do that, but I want us to dispassionately take a very neutral position and allow the cause of justice to take its course rather than to begin to make interpretation based on our individual, preferences, or because we don't like Nasir El-Rufai, because we like the Tinubu-led federal government. So we take positions and we begin to apportion blame.
Okay, now
I want to say
yes. Talking about that, now you have mentioned that one has to look at this issue objectively. So, how strong do you think is the federal government's case based on the alleged television interview, from your own perspective?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, and I think we are under a democracy. If we are under a democracy, the Western liberal perspective of democracy allows citizens to say whatever they want to say, and it's now left for whoever, to try to assert or determine through the instrumentality of the judiciary. But then my greatest fear, and the fear of several other Nigerians like me, is that we are facing a very serious crisis as far as our judicial system is concerned. In local political parlance, we are told that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. I do say that it's not the last hope of the common man. It is the last hope of even the uncommon man. But the manner in which the Nigerian judiciary seems to be behaving, the dwindling nature of their credibility, the manner in which they pass judgment that seems to be confrontational with the wishes and aspirations of the people. It maybe questions the integrity of the judiciary itself. So a lot of us really are losing hope. Several have lost hope already. I don't know how many Nigerians still have hope that if they have any matter. Let me give you an example. When this civil rule started between 1999 and 2007, especially between 2003 and 2007, we saw a protracted crisis between the president and his wife, then President Obasanjo and Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And we saw several times, a time did come when even the Federal Executive Council meeting, some young talks told the Vice President to stay away because he was indicted by, what they call a duly constituted presidential panel. Now, on several other incidences, what did the Vice President do? The Vice President went to the Supreme Court. And at the end of the day, he secured favorable judgment against the decision of the president and, PDP-led federal government on many occasions.
Yeah.
Will a Nigerian sitting vice president today go to the Supreme Court on any particular matter when the judiciary itself is accused of, a very palpable partisan, partisanship on matters? That everybody could see from our naked eyes. You see political justice, you see social justice, you see economic justice, But then we see the judiciary taking very so as far as these issues are concerned, Nigerians are alert, and we will wait to see. It's not enough for any government or any personality in government. After all, governments are transient. How many have we seen between 1999 and then? It's not enough for anybody in government to decide what the situation is.
Okay.
There are laws. There is a constitution that is a grand law that defines, activities of both government and citizens. So we will expect that the judiciary in this case should be very fair, in deciding the matter on the basis of its merits or otherwise, rather than simply allowing ourselves to be subjected to unnecessary sensationalism that has characterized the Nigerian society for a very long time. And I think that has to do a lot with the very deep erosion in terms of our cultural values, erosion in terms of our even the level of our faith, the beliefs that we say we only fight, for God.
Okay.
We say we are Muslims, we are Christians, but we are so unfair to each other.
All right. Of course. And he raised the issue of, for over 72 hours since El-Rufai made the comment on Arise TV, like you rightly mentioned, that the NSA office has not said anything, rather other than the report of the federal government suing El-Rufai yesterday.
Yes.
Is that an issue? Is that an angle you're trying to take the whole
yes,
argument?
I want to also make reference to a word the guest used, which is the sensationalization that has characterized, and looking at that, sentiment, if I may use that word. The NSA has not come out to say, the office of the NSA to say,
to admit or deny whether El-Rufai
and here we are, invitations, and going to the court is started happening. What are you going to tell the court? Why are you inviting a man? I'm just asking a question.
Those charges have already been ruled out, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, those charges have already been ruled out.
The charges are...
So do you expect the NSA to actually make a public comment concerning the
justify the charges?
The revelation from El-Rufai, sir?
Yes.
Well, this is a democratic era. And when it is a democracy, even the president himself is compelled time after time to come out and speak to the nation on matters that are crucial. Not even to talk about a very sensitive matter like this that border around national security. The NSA is a politician, for God's sake. He has been a politician, we know. And what stops you from coming out to dispel the issues that have been raised by Nasir El-Rufai? He should be able to do that. He should speak to us. He's our employee. He's on the employment of the Nigerian people. He is serving the Nigerian people. He's not serving the government of President Tinubu. He's serving all of us, the government and the citizens. So if a serious allegation like that is leveled against him or against his office, it is incumbent on him to come out and speak to the nation and say, look, what El-Rufai is saying is not true, and this is the fact of the matter. So now, the onus of proof is to agree whether, I hate the idea of people talking about the security implications of the statement that's made by Nasir El-Rufai that somebody has bugged the line of the NSA and had him instructing ICPC to go and arrest him. That's not the substance. That is the surface. Why don't you go beyond that to appreciate the fact that what El-Rufai said on national television was either true or was false? That's the first thing. Then the second one, as El-Rufai also mentioned is the internet, that it has become the tradition of the government to illegally tap, the communication lines of private citizens without, and that's supposed to be done after you have a court order to do that, or you have the backing of the judiciary to be able to do that. And he said that the Nigerian government is fond of doing that. And so Nigeria should be able to interrogate that. Look, democracy is not a tea party. It's not an end by itself. It's a means to an end. And you don't just institute it overnight. You continue to institute it by ensuring that you interrogate the processes and the personalities, especially those that are charged with the responsibilities of running the affairs of mankind. That's what democracy is all about. So we will be too, unfair to ourselves, to the system, to the nation, when we begin to conclude, attack our positions without necessarily abiding by the the necessary provisions that of the law. So in my view, this is the situation that we need to go to. There is nothing stopping the National Security Advisor from telling Nigerians using the instrument of his office, if he cannot come out like everybody did to accuse him, using the instrumentality of his office to either debunk or affirm the position that Mr. El-Rufai raised. But we haven't seen that. He's sitting quiet. He's just sitting aloof. So it's in my view, the onus now lies on the NSA. We expect that he should be talking to us.
All right. Yes.
Understand the gravity of issues.
All right, Prof. Otherwise. Now, looking at the sensitivity of the office of the NSA, I want to ask a question. Do the service providers, do they have any role or question to answer in line with this issue? The service providers, because I don't want to call their names. We know the big players in the communication industry, and they are saddled with the responsibility of protecting. It's just like the banking industry. There's some certain amount of money that cannot leave your account until what the bank will conduct what we call the DAR, depositor's attention required. And there are some security, apparatus surrounding such high-profile individual. So the providers, service providers, the big boys, the big giants in the industry, do they have any question to answer or any role to play in this matter, as it were?
Well, obviously, in a sensible system, in a system that is working, where it's intending to work, these are the very important things that ordinarily should be done. The telecommunication companies will have to be brought in here to be able to determine whether truly or not, whether government or individuals are at liberty to tap, the lives of
or whether it happens.
Other people or communities or groups. I mean, yes, it does happen. But then, of course, they go unchallenged. Now, let me tell you, we need to get these things right. I think Nigerian governments have been busy occupying themselves with trivial issues rather than the real issues that bother us as a nation. As a nation, we seem to be existing without substantially adhering to our ground, that is the Constitution and the rules and laws, that first of all will guarantee freedom, fairness, equality, and justice, which remains the motto of Nigeria. We are simply excited at getting into positions of authority and then managing the resources of our respective communities without corresponding discharge of the abilities that are entrusted with. And I think that's why you get problems with a lot of these issues. I sincerely believe that, honestly, and in all sense of sincerity, this is a very delicate issue that Nigerians should not even attempt to sensationalize, because the sensationalization of this particular matter only exposes the weaknesses of the apparatuses of the Nigerian state rather than any particular statement that any individual will make about its failures or otherwise. Okay. So I think governments and the security agencies must have to put their acts together by ensuring that we get the right. Look, where do you go in the whole of this world and see somebody, they'll call you Kabiru SSS? Everybody knows that you are a secret police. And then our DSS carries, uniforms and the badge. They are supposed to be undercover secret police of the Nigerian state, for God's sake. And when I was growing up,
yes, and
you didn't know who was,
Yes.
So these are some of the issues that we are facing at the moment.
Yes, and now talking about, you just raised the issue of the DSS. And that brings the question about our security apparatus. A situation where DSS behaves like vulture, these days, where a certain figure will be in a particular institution, and then they will now be hanging somewhere and be waiting for
standing by.
Yeah, standing by, as it were, be waiting for the subject to be rearrested. Is this the best way to go in our country? So what do you make of the attitude of DSS and other security agencies?
No, this didn't happen. This didn't happen in 1960 when Nigeria obtained full independence from Britain. It didn't happen. We were equipped with very brilliant intelligence service in the Nigerian police then, before the apparent division into now Department of State Service. But what you have today is that you see a security undercover, a security official who proudly, for one reason or the other, identifies himself as an undercover. Now, I have an issue. The integrity, the functionality of that particular officer is severely diminished by the fact that you expose yourself in that matter. And that's the manner that we go on in this country. If the DHS wants to arrest anybody, there are better ways and methodologies that we can do that without any sensationalization. And I think this is basically one of the major issues. There is a need for a complete overhaul and reorientation of the major critical sectors of the Nigerian state and society. Probably that is why we continue to grapple in the dark, to continue to face the crisis that we are facing, and then you allow citizens to say whatever they want to say. And it is a responsibility of the state, my brother, to do that. That is the essence of leadership. That's the burden the leaders carry. It's not just about the purposes of office. It's not just about the paraphernalia that they enjoy when they get there. It's not about allocation of our resources. It's about management of humanity. It's about management of resources. All right. And I think we need to get these things absolutely right.
All right, Prof. Sorry for cutting you there. Can you hear me, Prof? Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, there's this very controversial issue surrounding the office of the NSA that has been going on. Some Nigerians were like, the office of the NSA has been predominantly occupied by retired, intelligent military officers. I could remember when Ribadu was about to be appointed, there was some, concerns about his,
his qualification
being a retired police officer, and that such offices is not actually, quote and unquote, meant for police officers. It's a tradition, more or less, for retired intelligent military officers. And would Nigerians be right? Some Nigerians be right to say that the appointment of the policeman, the retired policeman, has not really, looking at the circumstances surrounding this issue, yes, allegedly.
Yeah, does it really matter?
Does it really matter?
Is it Ribadu as a retired police officer, or you should be a retired military officer? And quickly, to add to his question, sir, because time is not really our friend now, to add to his question, how about the public letter released by El-Rufai concerning the chemical purchase by the NSA office? So your quick take on these two questions, sir.
Well, let me begin by saying, I don't want to comment on the other side of the, which has to do the data which you spoke about.
Okay.
A citizen of Nigeria has a right to ask any germane question, whether rightly or wrongly, about the way the state is run. Democracy is supposed to be a collective responsibility. So every one of us has a, in mismanaging us and our resources, has to do with the fact that we are unable to interrogate every minor or major decisions that the governments have taken. So I think citizens should be encouraged to ask very critical questions about the way their lives are going on, about the way governments take decisions. That's about that. Now, the second leg of the question is on the issue of the suitability of who the National Security Advisor. If we are copying this Western liberal democratic system directly from the United States of America, how do they do their own? Who is an NSA in America? You have to be a retired military officer? You have to be a retired police officer? No. Condoleezza Rice was a professor. She was, a national security advisor before she was, catapulted to position of, a cabinet minister, under the George Bush Jr. administration.
Yes.
And several others like that. So the office of an NSA is not militaristic. It's not a uniform office. It's not the fact that you have to be a military intelligence officer or a police intelligence officer before you do that. And that's why we're getting it wrong all the time. That's why every time you have some level of mechanicalities as you know, understanding of the basic purpose of what is contained in the office of the National Security Advisor. So I want to suggest that one of the things, of course, before Nuhu Ribadu, Gamboja Meta was a national security advisor. In fact, the first head of NSO, he was a military, he was a police officer. So it is not a discretion of military intelligence to be in NSA or any other person. In fact, it is a civil office, but it's a discretion of the president to decide whether from the military or from the civilian population. But if we are to go on our track as copycats of what others are doing, we see that in cases in the United States of America, hardly will any retired military or police officer occupy that office.
Okay.
It's an office that is supposed to be civil, for God's sake. So this is my take on this issue.
Okay.
It's not about whether Ribadu's policy is fit to be there. Like every Nigerian is fit to be there. It depends on the role of the Mongodu was there for God's sake for 8 years.
Yeah.
He was a retired, I think, Major General of the Nigeria Army. Whether he performed or not is a different ballgame altogether. Before, like I said, Umar Kashi started, this whole idea. There are several others, that have done that. So I think like there is a need for Nigerians to interrogate their governments. What our governments don't like, especially this government, is for critical minds to begin to ask series of questions about the way they run affairs. And that's the tragedy of being in opposition for a very long time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's I think, is the problem that the Tinubu administration is carrying. They have criticized, they have condemned, they have advised throughout their lives, and now
they don't want
they are on the driver's seat. And probably they are unwilling to accept necessary criticisms. They see criticism, and you see, as a student of political science, I should tell you, that's one of the major disadvantages of socialist states. Socialist governments don't entertain apprehensions, they don't entertain questions from their citizens. So I expect any democratic government should be open and transparent. You should listen to the people, you should be able to explain to the people, and you are human beings. And at the beginning of this government, we saw many decisions that the government took that were criticized by the people, and they retracted. And we celebrated it. We said, look, this is how a democratic government should be, a listening government. When people say this is it, and then you go back and you make your inquiry and investigation, you find that truly your decision was not, as good as you thought. That, look, it is human to act. You can go back and do the right decision. And I think that's what needs to be done.
All right.
That's what needs to be done. This government must, do away with any tendencies of dictatorship and authoritarianism. It doesn't work in Nigeria. It doesn't work in nations like ours. Nations that are frustrated economically and socially.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Kabiru Mato, for joining us this morning. I really enjoyed your incisive analysis this morning on the issues surrounding El-Rufai and, of course, the Nigerian state. Thank you very, very much, sir.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All right. Of course, Professor Kabiru Mato is a professor of political science, like you heard him there.
Right.
And he has really, touched on a lot of issues.
Dissected the whole issue.
Yes. And I think the bottom line of his argument is that this government should behave like a democratic government.
Yes.
Citizens have the right to voice their opinion. And
they also have a right to listen.
And theirs is to listen and analyze what the people are saying and to do the right thing.
Yes.
So that's just the bottom line of his message this morning.
I quite agree with Prof. I quite agree with him that democracy is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And he said something very catchy that